Well, hello, I'm Brock Welge, and this is my wife, Rachel. We have 3 kids, and I'm a former MATA student. Flew here at MATA from 2018 to 2019, and wanted to tell you a little bit about our recent field experience in Palau. So, when I was finishing my commercial training here at MATA, we were trying to figure out how to bridge the gap between the commercial rating and field experience. And that's when Amos Collin came to visit, and he shared about an internship he had put together with PMA, Pacific Mission Aviation. And it was serving in Palau, flying 206s, building time in order to get up to a 500-hour mark that most agencies are looking for. And so Rachel and I became interested in it, and then it was your encouragement that really helped me to apply for it and to reach out to Amos and start that process.
So we had actually gone to Oshkosh last summer, and we got to meet a lot of different mission organizations, and it was really a great experience to be able to meet them in person and talk to them, and it was really encouraging and exciting, but we were still short with those, Brock was still short with those hours of he was at about 250 hours, and mission organizations require about 500 hours before you can even apply. And so this opportunity came up, and I'm a logical planner, and it just seemed like a logical transition and an easy step to move forward with that internship. So I just encouraged Brock to apply and see where it goes.
So once we completed the application process with PMA and got accepted to the internship, we had to start the practical planning, which dealing with our house and the packing all our things, getting airline tickets, and making all the preparations to go overseas. Palau is like 6,000 miles away in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, so it's really a big move. It's a small Pacific island about 20 miles across with a chain of other islands around it. And that was going to be a culture change for our family, who had never lived outside of the U.S. before. And so when we flew there, it took 34 hours going to LA and then Taipei and then landing in Palau. And when we got in Palau, our 3 kids, Garrett, Caleb, and Jane, all were surprised at how hot and humid it was. It was 90 degrees and 100% humidity, even though it was dark at 9 o'clock at night when we landed. And they couldn't believe that it was this hot where we were going to live. But that was just the first part of the transition that we were to experience when we got over to Palau to serve with PMA.
So it was really exciting when we did arrive and we got to the airport, because there was, I don't know, at least 30 people there waiting just to greet us. They had flower necklaces for us, and they made a big sign, and I just knew that many people here just to welcome our family. This was going to be a real blessing and possibly a place that we could call home.
Well, once I got on the field, immediately got into serving using aviation skills that I learned here at MATA. And it was clear that the training that I received was really going to pay off, because it was a small organization and they really depended on every staff member to get the job done. And so you'd be challenged with weight and balance and lots of passengers with lots of cargo, and really have to stick to your training. and that's follow the procedure. And if you don't have enough room in that flight, schedule a second flight. But all of those procedures and training that I received at MATA was really helpful just to fall back on, because there was no regulatory agency that was coming and checking up on us. And so we had to hold ourselves to our own standard. And it was in that process, or during that time, that I realized how important, how vital having good quality training, like the training here at MATA, was to keep us safe, and also to keep the passengers with PMA safe. So, in addition to flying on the mission field, you'll find that you're asked to do many other jobs, and there's never a shortage of work to be done on the field. And that was true at PMA. On the island, there's limited resources, limited supplies, and if you needed something, it could take 3 months to get it on a boat. And so you had to really be resourceful. And also, when it came to projects, there were many projects to do around the hangar. PMA was building a new hangar and nearing completion, but we had to do the finishing items like hooking up the water and the electricity and completing the offices. And that required a lot of elbow grease and hard work, but also patience, because you didn't realize how many problems you could encounter with those kind of activities. And I think one thing that my eyes were really open to serving on the field in this internship for 6 months was how many other skills besides aviation God was going to use to serve PMA, to serve the people of Palau. And it was really incredible.
So it was really cool, actually, to be able to witness this. Going to the internship, I thought, we have one goal, and that's to get more hours flying for Brock. And just to see how God had lined up, his experience with construction, his experience with mechanics, his experience with electric stuff, his experience with electrical work. His experience with electrical work. It just made me really proud to see how God had brought him from, even growing, even from the time I met him 15 years ago, God has been working in his life. And it wasn't just to be a pilot. It was to be used of God, how God wanted him to be used. As a wife, I felt like my role was to be there to support Brock. Here in the States, that's my role as well. And the thing that I found encouraging was the fact that if I was doing it here, I was going to take the habits that I had and take them over to Palau as well, as far as being a wife and being a mother. So me building those good habits of daily studying the Bible and daily praying for my husband, they were already in place here. And so I was able to just continue that over there. And it seemed like an easy transition. Whereas if I was bringing bad habits, which I do have, it made it those times more difficult when those came out as well. One thing that was a big transition for me was learning how to homeschool. And it's still a process, but just learning how to love my children best, and by teaching them in a way that they learn the best, is going to be a process. And what was, I think, one of the most exciting things about being in Palau is that it felt very similar in some ways to what I was already doing here in the States. And if I'm serving here, like at MOPS or Awanas or Women's Bible Study, then I'm going to be serving over there as well. And if I'm putting God first here, then I'm going to be putting God first there as well.
So the ministry at PMA, it really gets both Rachel and I excited about what's God's doing in the Pacific Islands, specifically even in Palau. PMA is a big organization and spreads through Micronesia, Palau, and even into the Philippine Islands. But Palau is, they just built a new hangar, and God had blessed them with that. And it's exciting to see how God's going to use that hangar. Just like here at Mata, how God's blessed Mata with a great facility, a great hangar to do a lot of ministry work out of. And so I see that potential. It gets me really excited. And then Palau is a base where missionaries come for an internship, and then it prepares them to go out in the field and serve in even the farthest parts of the world, serving in some of the toughest airstrips. And so that part as well excites me about PMA is in Palau, you can speak into new students, new missionaries, building just that last little bit of time. But they don't just build it as a CFI or working a commercial job. They're actually serving as a missionary in PMA. And then finally, PMA in Palau helps to generate funds through some of the scenic flights and the other offerings for some of the unreached people group missionaries and church plants in Philippines. They have 6 churches right now in the Philippine Islands, some of the remotest parts, and an orphanage. And so those have to be funded by donors by the mission, and Palau generates funds as well to support that work that God's doing over there. So even in Palau, the island of Angar, the ministry work that's happening there is really exciting to see the kids waiting for the plane to land so the teacher comes out and can give them a Bible study lesson, to see the adults bringing their Bibles and their pens and their notebooks to Bible study and learning God's Word and growing that way. And there's no church right now in Angar, and PMA will even fly in pastors on the weekend just to preach in the local community hall or at somebody's house. And so just the opportunities to plant church there, to disciple Christians and grow them in their faith. All those things make us really excited about PMA Palau.
One of the things that I'm really excited about is just to return, hopefully, if the Lord wants us there. And I just really am excited about all of the different cultures in America. It's a really big melting pot, but Palau is almost more so, I would say. There's the Palauan culture, there's the Filipinos that go there to work, and then there's many other people from many other countries all over the world that come to visit. And it's just a beautiful place that you can really see what heaven will be like. And just to be a part of a church that has so many different cultures and has the potential for so many different cultures, it's just really exciting. And I really enjoy bringing my Western perspective, but also being able to learn and grow from all the other cultures that are there as well.
So when we were in Palau, and we had been living there for about 3 months, we were settled into our apartment, and we got back into normal routines. It was way different than living here in the United States because first you're on an island, and so the roads are really rough. But the heat, temperature, the climate is way different, and our bodies were just starting to get adjusted to the heat and the humidity and the sun. We finally stopped getting sunburned every day, and it was about that time that the new electric line to the building it got cut. The phone company was doing some work, and anyway, the line got cut, and we didn't know what to do. And none of the other PMA staff kind of knew what to do either. And so I just started calling and asking questions. First called an electrical engineer, the only one on the island, and he gave us some advice. And then we called the power company, and they gave us some advice. But it turned out we were going to have to dig up the cable and splice it. And it was during that process I rolled up my sleeves. Like I said, a missionary, you never know what you're going to be faced with as far as a job. And so I wasn't flying until we got the power going. And so I rolled up my sleeves and got the shovel out and started digging. And it was in that process of digging and then taking the wires out and inspecting them, finding the break and getting them spliced and then sealed up, that I realized that God didn't, give me the skills that I have for just any old reason or by chance or by accident. It was to serve Him, to help build His kingdom and get the work done that He's doing. And PMA really was a great fit for our family, for the skills we had, but also not just for the skills, but to purposely further the gospel with PMA and enable the airplanes to continue flying safely and efficiently, to do the ministry work, to let the hangar protect those airplanes and let it run and operate and kind of be a safe haven for the people of Palau. And so it was just during that time of fixing that electrical line that I realized God had brought me this far for the reasons just as these. And it's really encouraging, and it also just solidified my faith that God will use you if you let Him, and He has great things for you. And He had great things for us in Palau. We're super thankful to be able to serve there. And we're continuing to pray if we go back this fall or this winter, what that would look like and how all the details would work out.
So it's really interesting. It was really interesting when I got the opportunity to share with our kids on a regular basis why we were here. They would ask, why are we serving with PMA? Why are we in Palau? And I would get to share not only the things that Brock was able to do on a daily basis, but also the opportunities that Brock had to do sea searches, to find people that were lost at sea. Also, he got to do quite a few medevacs and take people to the hospital that were sick on the different islands. And I got the opportunity to go every other week to do a children's Bible study. And all of those things, if we weren't there, we would not have been able to be a part of that, and they might not have happened if we were not there. And it was just a really precious time with my 10-year-old son when he would ask, "Mom, why are we in Palau?" And I got to share with my children that it isn't just about Brock serving with PMA. It's about our family serving together to bring the gospel to the people of Palau. And I think that they're starting to understand that it takes a family.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for hearing our stories, and want to thank you for all the prayers and support that you've given us for this 6-month internship. It's really been an encouragement to get an email, hey, we're thinking, praying of you, or some sort of WhatsApp message or video call. It was super encouraging while we were serving over there. And it would give us new energy and remind us that it's not just us out there on an island, but it's all of you and all of your just generous gifts and prayers and thoughts. It all comes together, and we just get to be the vessels that are over there serving and doing the Lord's work. And so I just want to say thank you. And so right now, Rachel and I are praying and talking with our home church, Snohomish Community Church, about what it would look like to go back and serve with PMA full-time on a 3-year term. And so I just ask if you would pray with us and really seek what God has for us and for PMA, and work as that God would just work through all those details and confirm that calling with our church leadership, with us, and also the PMA leadership. So as Rachel and I prayerfully consider returning to Palau and serving with PMA full-time for 3 years, I would ask that you prayerfully consider supporting us financially and with your prayers as an extension of the church here in the U.S., and partnering with us and the ministry work that PMA is doing in Palau and even beyond. I want to thank you again for your time, and we will talk to you later.
Hi. What I liked about Palau is the seahorse that we saw.
Oh yeah, you found a seahorse, huh? Cool. Caleb, what did you like about Palau? I'll hold it.
I like the gelato shop and Rock Island Cafe.
Oh yeah, that was a good cafe. Garrett, what did you like about Palau?
My favorite part was the fishing trip when I got to go spear fishing and rod fishing.
Cool.
Caleb, did you like playing with the kids from church?
Yeah.
Where would you used to play, and what would you used to ride on?
The cart.
Do you remember?
Carts.
You used to ride on those green carts? Mm-hmm. And where would you play at?
In a big hangar, like a basket, and it had basketballs and basketball hoops.
Mm-hmm. And that's where we had church, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. I liked the skateboard at Palau.
The skateboard.
The skateboard, yeah.
And the bullet, the real life bullet.
Mm-hmm. Good.
I liked playing with the kids in anger and going on Dad's flights because, well, who wouldn't? So, and it's fun. So.